What is a clear sign of you getting older? When the checkout girl at the local drug mart gave me a discount and I asked why the discount and she said seniors discount. I was maybe 57 at the time. I didn't know whether to be outraged or happy about getting a few bucks off. My husband got the seniors discount at Popeyes without asking and he's only 34 lamau. 40 is a weird age. Everyone older says you're so young. Everyone younger thinks you're so old. 50 is the old age of youth, and the youth of old age. When I watched professional sports and all the players looked like children. Baseball, football, tennis to etc. You start doing the math and realize you're basically watching a glorified Pee-wee game. When they tear down a building that you remember getting built. Haven't experienced that, but that feel though when a place you used to work in your hometown is now a parking lot. My elementary school got torn down and turned into condos. That was weird. Haven't gone to a wedding in a very long time. Have gone to a few funerals, though. Frown. When you've seen multiple decades of fashion trends come back into play with a young crowd. I laughed when I saw a pair of Jenko jeans being sold as vintage ultra baggy denim in a trendy second-hand shop near work. It boggled my mind that people actually wanted to wear those again, but my 20-something coworker was like, "Ooh yeah, they go for like a few $100 or more now." I then showed the youngsters pics of how impractical garbage they were if worn in rain, snow, and the developing heel strap after about a month of dragging on the ground. They all still want them. And they said it's cool because no one wears them that long anymore. Case in point, the next day I saw a teen wearing a pair, only they stopped just above her ankles. Didn't think that look could get worse, but the kids have gone and done it. You are more aware of others wasting their time. Yes. And of their wasting your time. I used to sneak out of home to go to parties. Now I sneak out of parties to go home. Your next stage of old is not going to parties in the first place. 58 meters. Where do I start? 30s, didn't brush off that wipe out on my bike like I did in my 20s. 40s, had to stop eating like I was 20, visits to my family physician became much more frequent. 50s, takes much longer to get out of bed. Back and joints ache continually. As I approach my 60s, my friend and family pool is getting smaller as they start to pass on. Spend more time reminiscing about the past than looking to the future. Life goes by quick. Don't waste it. I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you've actually left them. Andy Bernard. I'll be 35 in 4 days and I miss all my old friends that had families and moved on. Frown. If your friends are anything like me, they think about you and all the good times you had all the time but never bring themselves to bother you by reaching out. This sentiment makes me feel weirdly good. Hair growing in places where hair shouldn't be. Seriously, what is this bullshit that I have to shave my ears now? Yeah, I was surprised this wasn't higher. When I was 30 I noticed a few gray hairs. When I was 32 I noticed more hair on my chest and back. When I was 34 I had to start trimming my nose and ears and eyebrows and shaving my neck weekly, and my nipples are surrounded by fountains of pubes. It's like another fucking puberty except your sex drive is slipping. Although I still picture myself as in my late 20s, and I'm always surprised when I say my age out loud. This one gets me all the time. My mental image of myself and what I actually look like are alarmingly dissimilar. I walk into a bathroom and expect to see 20-something me in the mirror and I see my dad instead. Making noises when sitting up and down. Our dog is getting old, and whenever she stands up, she makes these little groaning noises. I thought it was cute and funny until the day I realized that I, too, make those noises whenever I stand up. Maybe she's mocking you. Smile. There was a man in the UK who hurt his leg and needed crutches and his dog started limping. Took her to the vet and apparently there's nothing wrong with her and she was doing it out of sympathy. After my dog had his leg amputated, fuck cancer, and was hobbling around, my little one started doing the same thing. Tucked one leg up and limped around, which scared the shit out of my because 2 dogs with medical issues is dollar. Anyways. He was fine. Just wanted attention. People in positions of power being younger than you. Your primary care physician looks like she's about 17. I don't care about how I look without makeup anymore. I can't even see enough to put makeup on, lol. I've needed readers for the last 6 months, but nobody told me to look in the mirror with them. Holy chin hairs. I sneezed the other week and threw my back out. I used to use the pull-up bar to make my arms big. I now use the pull-up bar to decompress my spine. It's also amazing for shoulder pain. You just sold me on a pull-up bar. Or hang wet clothes. Valuing your sleep and at least trying to follow a decent sleep schedule. I just can't do it if I don't. In younger years I could take on an army with 4 hours. Now 6 hours isn't even enough to piss straight. Ooh, I like their cabinetry while watching an exciting action movie. I showed my aunt Breaking Bad and she couldn't stop talking about how nice Walter's house was. What teacher can afford an in-ground pool on their salary? Having no idea what the latest trends are in pop culture, and not caring either. It's so freeing. When you stop going back to bed after getting up at night to pee, and just put the coffee on. That greatly depends on which nightly pee I'm on. If it's my 11 midnight pee, back to bed. 2 a.m. pee? Back to bed. 5 a.m. pee? Might as well get up. Those are the standard 3. Every once in a while I'll get a straggler 3:30 p. When I have one of those, it's back to bed. You start getting wisdom moments. Understanding why things happened and had to. Being more compassionate towards mistakes of others because you're shitty yourself and you know it. This one hits it for me. I think I have become much more patient with idiots than before. I want to add though, I also see through bullshit and have no fear calling it out. Now, I mean, who's going to smack some old man for mouthing off? Yikes. Yes, this. I did a big fuck up in my 20s. Now when I see people doing the same thing, I don't judge. I just feel sorry for them because they probably won't understand the negative ramifications until they're older. Media, songs, movies, games, you grew up with start being referred to as classics. The first time I heard Nirvana on the classic rock station, I died a little inside. Same here, but it was Green Day. I don't think I'll forget the feeling of listening to my go-to classic rock station at the time, a station that had always played stuff like Led Zeppelin, Ozzy Osbourne, and Van Halen, and the first thing I heard after an ad break was, "Do you have the time to listen to me whine?" I think several of my hairs immediately turned gray in that moment. That song is almost 30 years old. By comparison, when that came out, a 30-year-old song was from the 60s. Those were definitely oldies to me. Well, damn when you put it like that. This is the trippiest thing for me. How is early 2000s music already old school? 20 years makes it vintage. As long as we don't bring back the pointy exposed boots with everything phase, I'm good. I live in a university town. I have seen the resurrection of denim mini skirts, mom jeans, popcorn shirts, flip-flop wedges, and Lisa Frank. I was coping. Until I saw a teeny bopper at the grocery store wearing a goddamn Von Dutch trucker hat. Is this how our parents felt when bell-bottom jeans and the boho trend came back in the 2000s? Hearing Blink 182 in a grocery store killed me. I heard Metallica playing in the grocery store. Initially, I was jamming before reality slapped me with a wake-up call. I'm getting older quicker than I realize. No way. That is rough. I heard Nothing Else Matters on that Disney movie Jungle Cruise. Peace. So, here are a few positive signs of aging. You recognize something as a dumb idea before you do it. You handle your own shit/clean up your own mess, rather than leaving it for someone else to deal with. Your immediate desire or impulse doesn't obscure every other factor when making an important decision. There are more, but you get the idea. Referring to people under 30 as kids. I caught myself saying he was just a kid about Anton Yelchin recently even though he was 27. Also my knees sounding like bubble wrap when I kneel down. You hear all types of pops and clicks in your body. I just tell people I'm a crunchy human. Like a regular human but deep fried. I have had that my entire life. Same. No pain or anything, just noisy bones. The adults in your life start dying, man. I'm really sorry to many of you for the losses you've had to deal with. My inbox has been a tough read the last few hours. Wait until you hit 40. They drop like flies. It's insane how quickly your life can depopulate. I'm in my early 40s, I literally just attended the funeral of my best friend from my childhood this past Thursday. Died the day after his 42nd birthday from a coronary event. After going my first 15 years or so without anyone I knew dying, my last 25 years has been a series of deaths and funerals. My dad, grandparents, family friends, a ton of kids from my HS. Before, it used to be extended people or older relatives, but here lately, it's people I know/knew well. And no longer car accidents, but terminal illnesses and things. Scary AF. Yup. I'm the last alive of my childhood friends. That's it. We're done. Thanks for the fading memories. It's crazy to read stuff like this. I'm losing contact with my closest friends due to our jobs being spread apart, and it already feels like I'm missing on valuable time that could be spent with them. It's weird to think that there is a deadline to everything we do. I took a hiatus from gaming to work on myself. I was kind of a recluse, but would still chat here and there with my friends. Then one of my closest friends, the gravity well of our group, died at 34 of a blood clot in his leg which turned into a pulmonary embolism. It was less than 2 months ago and I haven't stopped thinking about him and wishing I'd just worked on myself while still being around. Anybody can go at any time, no matter how unreal it might feel. Terminal/chronic illness is horrible, but these random health events freak me the fuck out. 6 fucking funerals last year. Grandfather, father, uncle, cousin, aunt, grandfather. Only 1 to COVID. 2 due to doctor/hospital fuck-ups. Then my rabbit dies the Monday before Christmas. That's just 1 year. I'm going to be out of relatives by 2023. Back pain. Waking up every day with a new random pain somewhere. Probably partly some arthritis too. The feeling of not waking up hungover sounds better to you than a night of partying. I get hungover without even getting drunk now. I genuinely, not sarcasm, not a meme, have no idea what slang teenagers use these days. I have absolutely zero context or exposure to any cultural influences teenagers even have. Edit, there are a few dozen responses at this point to my post, almost all of which have examples of young person slang. I understand none of it. I really hope some of you jokesters are pranking me by giving me some fake slang to use. That would be hilarious. But honestly, it's kind of fun reading what slang people use these days. I was pretty sure things aren't fire anymore, but maybe that's still used? It's weird how quickly it happens. I hear interviews with people from bands I have never heard of and the interviewer is like, you have 6 platinum albums. Or on People magazine covers, there are people I have never seen before. Am old, don't care. I used to hold my dad in contempt for having no idea what music I liked, etc. My mom used to make an effort to keep up but he did not care. And all these years later I totally get it. This is the one. I'm 33 and in our group chat one of my friends said something recently about as the kids say. And I was just like, what? I use in the vernacular of modern youth. Very close to the great line from The Big Lebowski, in the parlance of our times. Rip bozo sussy amogus ratio don't care Seuss. If I showed this sentence to my grandfather I think he would have another stroke LMFAO. Intolerance for loud noise. The older I get, the less I can stand it. If anyone asked me to do anything after 8 p.m., the chances of me going are slim, and the chances are even slimmer if I've already put on sweatpants. You get out of sweatpants. Well done. Workings remotely has definitely made me feel like I'm dressing up when I put jeans on. When you are asked your birthday online and you realize how much you have to scroll to get to your birth year. This one. The little year will just rolls and rolls and rolls to get to my year, 1967. P.S. And I'm grateful for those years. Someday we will be filling out forms and the birth year will be 20_ and we will have to cross out the 20 and write 19 above it in pen. Have to go through multiple layers of tech support to ask how to put in the correct date because paper has been left behind and the guy who coded it overlooked this one thing. When you're older than your doctors suddenly. Woo boy, I remember the first time that happened, seen by a doctor clearly younger than me, and I thought it was kinda funny. Now it just keeps happening. You say to yourself, it's the end of January already? More like, what did I do between 1990 and 2000? What ages were you then? For me, it's 2000 to 2010. Just a big fuzzy wall of time. I had a painter over, 19 years old, that kept referring to me as sir. I went to a local brewery taproom for lunch. I started chatting with the 19-ish-year-old bartender and mentioned that the first time I ever got a keg of beer it was from that brewery and mentioned the year. Wow, I wasn't even born yet. He says. For me it was meeting someone who said she was old, then I realized I have a CD that is older than her. And then you say fuck I'm old. I played tennis recently with someone I knew was younger than me but didn't know how much. Afterwards we were talking about the HSs we went to and he asked when I graduated so I told him and then asked him when he graduated. And he said, feels like ancient times now, 2016. Yes, I've noticed that. You become a sir, though you really don't feel like you possess the full power, authoritativeness and gravitas of one worthy of the name. I think you're underselling yourself, Sir Curtishoe. Sir Breezel sounds like you would have been a great rapper in the 90s. I remember when I was like 19, working at a video game store, this mom was there with her kid, probably 5 or 6 years old. She told her kid, now tell the man which game you want out of the case or whatever it was. Man? That threw me off. I'm 34 now with a kid and I still feel like a stupid teenager most days. I'm 26 and I asked my parents, hey, do you ever grow up from this weird feeling in your brain that you're still a teenager? Like the years pass and you still feel like you're 16? My dad, who is 52, just stared at me and said, no, your body just gets older and older and it's a disagreement between your body and your brain because your mind sometimes still thinks you're a teen and I feel like that's why growing up is so difficult. Your mind matures and learns but it still feels like you're just a teenager learning and developing, but your body disagrees and starts doing weird shit that tells your brain you're not young anymore, but you still feel weird about it. I got switched to ma'am at around 26. I don't think I'm particularly haggard looking or anything. I wonder when the average woman goes from miss to ma'am. When I was 25, I got called ma'am and kiddo in the same day, so I imagine the transition is somewhere around there. Schrodinger's AARP membership. I've personally always used ma'am for some reason, just figured it was more respectful than miss. TBH never really even considered miss. When I call someone ma'am it's not cause of age or looks at all. Should I just say miss instead? Skeptical, I think of it like sir/Mr. ma'am/miss. I don't call people Mr. so I don't call people miss. I do call people sir so I also use the term ma'am. Perhaps my logic is flawed though. I've always seen that as people just being professional. I found myself just wandering around the aisles of Lowe's, not looking for anything in particular and had a moment of self-clarity. I'm old. I'm looking for clearance sections, but I think I've always done that. That 2 decades ago is no longer the 1990s. Sometimes I catch myself thinking the 90s were only a decade ago. The worst was when 80s night at the club turned into 90s night. Then when it turned into 00s night I started shopping for grave plots. Oh God, when I was a teenager in the 80s, there were lots of 50s revivals, dances, diners, fashions. The oldies to us was Elvis and doo-wop. I recently tuned into an oldies station and it was songs from well into my adulthood. Was thinking the same thing. PFFT, that's a typo, it's the 80s that was 2 decades oh. The 2050s are closer than 1990 is. Your address book includes many names of people who are either dead or you haven't heard from in years. Note, as I commented further down this thread, the address book referred to is my grandmother's from when she was alive. It's interesting to flip through the pages and see that most of the entries were crossed out by the time she died, meaning, all those people are dead too. Also, you have an address book. Edit, wow, I wasn't expecting awards for this, thanks. Also, my comment comes across a bit like I'm making fun of OP, And that wasn't my intention. But I literally know of no one younger than my mother, in her 50s, who keeps a physical address book. OP furiously tries to find her address on his book. Loosely related, my mother is getting my grandma a new address book for her birthday next month, and I drunkenly promised I'd write out her addresses. She's turning 89, is an active member of the church, was a very sociable teacher for decades, and we are Irish. This is going to kill me even with the amount of deceased or irrelevant people being omitted. You're a good grandkid. She's an amazing grandma. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day, and I'll see you next time with more stories.